to make anyway while we're getting this thing going. First and foremost, I want to say thanks to everybody who's done just a tremendous job of supporting the calls. The daily power-up call, the numbers are really climbing, have been for a while, and I've got some really exciting news. Actually, I was going to share it with you tomorrow, but I'm going to share it with you now. We are now live on iTunes, which means if you are listening to the daily power-up call anywhere, you can actually hear it. You can subscribe to it and actually download it on your phone, download it on your iPod, whatever you want to do, so you can use that. That was a request from a lot of people, but a big shout out to Shelly Bellancourt down there in Australia for that great idea. She actually got us, sent me the link and made it happen. So Shelly Bellancourt, thank you, my friend. I dearly appreciate you, and we're really psyched to be on iTunes. So if you want to look for it, it's simply the MOBE Daily Power-Up Call, M-O-B-E Daily Power-Up Call. I will actually put a link on Facebook tomorrow morning after the call, and that way you guys can obviously log on and you can get yourself dialed in, and it'll be a pretty awesome thing to have for us. And so we'll be able to do that. The other part that I wanted to let you know is that we've got looks like we got Corey online now, and I'm going to get him out here in just a second. But we're going to be doing the daily power-up call tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us. This is going to be recorded tonight. The Business Principles Workshop that you're seeing right now with Corey is going to be recorded, so we'll get that thing out there to you in just a moment, or get it out to you tonight. Give me 1 second here. Corey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Awesome, buddy. We can hear you loud and clear, and really psyched to hear what you have tonight. So what I'm going to do is just do a really quick intro, if you don't mind, and I'll turn the reins over to you.
Yeah, no problem. Can you see my screen or not yet?
What I see is, yeah, I think it's just the basics as business principles, the stock image there, not mine, but the one screen that you have in front of you.
Okay,
You
I'll
have
just show. Okay, fine. I'll show my screen here in just a second. We should be good.
Okay, good to go. Well, before we get Corey out here, I just want to give you guys a quick shout out here. Corey Boatwright is a serial entrepreneur that has succeeded in real estate, internet marketing, and mobile app development businesses. The Wall Street Journal and Fast Company magazine are among a few organizations that consider him a thought leader for the successful business aptitude that he has. He became a millionaire at age 25, and he created a simple strategic 3M formula for success, which continues to change the lives of others around the world. I'll tell you the thing I love about Corey. I met this guy back in Fiji at the Platinum Mastermind, and immediately got a sense of just not only how successful he's been as an entrepreneur, but how much of a heartfelt servant he truly is. He carries that almost as a badge of honor, almost like part of his brand, and I'm sure he's going to talk a little bit about that tonight. What you're going to hear tonight is a presentation that he gave to Harvard University, one of the top schools in the entire world. So we're really fortunate to have Corey out here. Corey, my friend, I got to tell you, it's a privilege to spend any kind of time with you tonight. We really appreciate you taking some time out to share with us this evening.
Hey, I appreciate it a bunch, JT. Thank you so much for having me on here, and I'm excited, man. I'm really excited about what I have to share, because I believe that it's some of the very best. It's some of the very best information I can share about business and about some of the things that I've experienced in my lifetime now. I'm 37 years old, and I've been doing business for many years, and have started a lot of companies. I'm going to go into a little bit of that, and I've had a lot of failures, and I've had a couple of successes and hit some home runs. And I want to talk about just some of those business principles and how it can help folks, especially how you and I met through the MOBE program. We know folks are on here that may or may not be in that program. It's a My Online Business Empire program. We run our own brand called Online Bizology, and we partnered strategically with Matt Lloyd and you guys on that program, and that's where you and I met. And it's been just really cool to be able to have our friendship. I know that you and I have talked several times back and forth, and I agree with you. I believe that whenever, we met, it was kind of like a kindred spirit. I love folks that are committed to serving others, and I know that immediately whenever you and I talked, I could see that that was a part of your DNA too, JT. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that one, everyone can hear me right now. Can you hear me okay, JT?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear, Corey, and your screen right now shows black, which I think is on purpose.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so I want to share with you this presentation I did. It took about 30 to 40 minutes. So just get set back, have a cup of coffee here. I'm going to do my best to entertain you. But what I'm sharing with you are some of the things that I've put together over probably the last, 16 years or so in business. Some of the things I've went through, and I actually put together 2 presentations for Harvard, JT. But right before I was getting ready to go on, I asked the audience which one they preferred. I said I had one presentation that was kind of the Manila version of mindset for success. That's what I was asked to come talk about, mindset for success. And I said I could share with you, these 3 things, and they would definitely give you some nuggets, and you go home and learn something from it. And I said, but quite frankly, that's a pretty boring presentation. I've shared that 1,000 times. I know it backwards and forwards. And I said, I have another presentation. And this other presentation I've never shared with anybody. In fact, this presentation here at Harvard is going to be borderline offensive and possibly dangerous. The reason I said that is because I was actually concerned if somebody's going to throw something at me, being at the most prestigious college, basically education facility in the world. And I asked them, I said, before I show you this presentation, I've got the one loaded that I want to share. I want to know which one do you want to hear about, which one do you want to see. And they all agreed that they wanted to see the presentation number 2, JT. So
awesome. I can hardly wait.
That's what happened. So what I'm getting ready to show you is the exact presentation that I showed at Harvard. And the very first thing that came across the screen is this. I said, okay, lesson 1. Formal education means nothing. And then I just proceeded to walk off the stage. You can imagine that was not something they were prepared for. And I said, but let me follow up with this. It's not that I'm not a fan of education, because I certainly am. I said, because lesson 2 is specialized knowledge. Well, specialized knowledge, it means everything, period. And will you agree with that, JT?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that, 100%.
Yeah. Who makes who's more successful? The attorney that has just a generic practice, or the attorney that is specialized in some particular legal field? Which one makes more, JT?
Well, I'd have to think the specialized attorney would. Absolutely.
That's right. Which one makes more? The doctor that's for generic and general practice of a doctor, or the specialized doctor that is focused in one area?
Got to be the focused specialized guy or guy.
You got it. You got it. And so that's how I proved the point in the room, and everyone agreed that this does make a lot of sense. So I want to briefly go through this, because some people do know who I am, some people don't, and so I want to just briefly go through this. My name is Corey Boatwright, and I've been really blessed and honored to been featured in some great publications like CNN. Wall Street Journal did a particular interview with me when I sold a company that I grew up in my business, over $4 million. They interviewed me for successful business aptitude. Fast Company, they ranked me number 4 in the world for social influence. There's a project that over 30,000 people applied to be a part of, and I hit number 4, beating out even Justin Bieber and Britney Spears.
Nice.
And I also released my first book, and it went bestseller the first day, and it was called Recession Riches. It still has sales daily, and I was really honored to have that happen. I want to go ahead and just kind of share with you a couple of things that's happened in my life that I'm excited about. And this isn't to impress you, but just to, what do they say, impress upon you that it's exciting whenever you follow your dreams and you get some results from it. You know, you'll hear my story a little bit more of where I came from, but right now I want to tell you that I've had some exciting things happen in my life. Right there is a picture of me looking over Terre, Italy, and here's another picture of when I was skydiving. What's interesting about skydiving is that your brain, the synapses in your brain, they work differently after you jump out of an airplane. Let me explain really quickly. So most people's fear is death, right? They fear of dying, right? Some people fear of even speaking on stage is actually even worse than dying, but most people fear dying. And so whenever you jump out of an airplane, you tell your body that you are basically okay with dying. You make this decision that I'm okay that I could possibly die when you jump out of that airplane. And so your brain, from now on, looks at everything in your life, all the situations, all the challenges that you come into is completely different. Everything's dwarfed now. So that gives you another reason to skydive, and it was a very exhilarating experience. The first time I did it, I did a front flip. The second time I did a back flip out the airplane. It was a lot of fun. This is a picture of the 16th Chapel, just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful place. Here's Dear Abbey. Here is Pompeii. This is absolutely incredible to be a part of the history here and to see some of the most incredible artifacts really on the planet when the volcanoes basically buried a city completely. Here is the catacombs in London. Those are actual skulls back there, JT, from all the deaths that happened during the war. And here is me in Thailand. I got a chance to walk a tiger, and I always say that you don't walk a tiger walks you, because that is a huge, huge animal. And this one's kind of means a lot to me, because this is, you know where this is, JT? Any idea where that is? JT, are you there?
Can you get, oh, there we go. Can you hear me
I
now?
lost you there. Yeah, do you know where that is, that picture right there?
Yeah, I was saying before I was on mute, it's got to either, it looks like Singapore or Malaysia, something like that.
It's close. That's in Hong Kong.
Oh, man, I've been to Hong Kong. I can't believe I didn't get that.
Yeah, that's in Hong Kong, man. And that's called the Peak. And right there at that moment, I was looking over the edge there at the Peak. It's one of the highest points in Hong Kong. You see everything, as you can see. And there was this little voice in my head that was like, what in the heck is a guy from Little Oklahoma doing in Hong Kong? And it was just kind of one of those aha moments in my life that, wow, really anything's possible. So let me share with you a little bit about my backstory. I'm from a little place in Oklahoma called Weatherford, and it had a population of maybe 15,000, 20,000 people. I did grow up with 3 brothers. I am the youngest of 3, and this is a picture right here of my mom and my dad. And my dad was a pilot. We owned an airport, and he was a crop duster. and he would go and fly around to drop chemicals on farmers' crops. And he was a very hard worker, and he was extremely skilled in everything that he did. And he also was just a really fantastic guy. My mom, hard worker, and she really is a lot of inspiration for me because of how she was able to succeed in many areas in her life. She was a part of Mary Kay, and she almost got that pink Cadillac. I definitely got a lot of my business mind from my mom and my dad. Well, my father passed away. He passed away just one day before his birthday. And this is a picture of him and I, and this is one of the only pictures that is really left whenever he and I are together. And this was a very big deal in my life. I was about 19 months old, JT, when this happened, and I just basically grew up with without that father. Even though my brothers, I have a lot of respect for them. My oldest brother, Dusty, he was an athlete, could pretty much all-state in football, baseball. He could do anything he puts his mind to. My other brother, Brandon, he's a mechanic, and he could take apart an engine, put it back together. Just both these guys have a lot of respect for. And I turned out to be the musician and the entrepreneur. The challenge is that whenever you're the youngest, you typically, if you're 8 years old and your brother is 15 and one's 13, they don't really want to hang out with an 8-year-old. So I tended to find myself hanging out with a lot of other guys that got me in trouble. In fact, most of my friends, I remember growing up in grade school and even the early parts of high school, most of them ended up going to boys' homes, or when they turned 18, they actually went to prison. Even though I had 2 older brothers, JT, I actually enrolled into the Big Brother program just because I needed to have some positive influence in my life. And this guy right here made a huge difference in my life, Dave Storm. It's part of the Big Brother program. Him and his wife, Tori Storm, they really gave me a positive role model. They gave me a positive outlook in life that many things were possible. However, even though I had a big brother, and you only get maybe once every 2 weeks or once every week, so it wasn't a lot of time, and so I still found myself, hanging out with peers that tended to get me in trouble. So what happened was I basically ended up dropping out of high school my junior year. My junior year, I dropped out of high school. And the reason was, it wasn't because I was a bad student. It's just I wasn't there. Many times I would skip school. I'd go hang out with friends, and when I skipped school, I'd get zeros. I would, some days I would just not go to school, period. I would just sleep in. And my mom worked so many hours that she went to work at 7 o'clock at night, got home at 7 in the morning, and it was just it was a pretty tough time. I remember growing up, really applying myself to just the normal things in high school. So I ended up dropping out, and I could tell you that when I dropped out, I ended up joining a Christian heavy metal band, JT. If you would believe it. That's me right there on the left.
That's awesome.
Looking like a sailor or something. And I had my hair all one length. And so I joined a band, and this was actually a Christian heavy metal band. And these guys made a big difference in my life when I dropped out. I told you most of my friends in Weatherford, they went to boys' homes or prisons. And these guys lived in Oklahoma City, which was maybe 50 miles away from my hometown. And I actually moved from Weatherford to Oklahoma City, got away from my circumstances, got away from my these people I was hanging out with that were getting me in trouble, and got around some positive influences that made all the difference in the world. And yeah, that is me right there. You want to write this down. You are absolutely, undoubtedly, the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You agree with that, JT?
Absolutely, 100%. Yep.
You are. And whenever I found myself separating and getting away from these other influences in my life that were negative, and these people that were dragging me down, and I was around all of this negativity and around people that wanted to get in trouble and go out and do things that were dangerous and really just selfish, and just get around people that didn't have any kind of vision or goals in life. Whenever I stopped hanging out with people like that, and I got around people that were positive, people that wanted to make a difference, people that lifted me up and said, you can be a leader, and I got around people that were spiritually at a place where I wanted to be. I was empty inside. I was lost. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I knew I had potential to do many things. I was a quick learner. I taught myself how to play guitar. I taught myself a lot of things in life. But it wasn't until I was able to separate myself from the negative influences until things started to change. So what happened is I ended up being more entrepreneurial and starting different businesses. And I'm sure you've probably seen this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Many entrepreneurs I know, they've read this book, but I looked at it a little differently. In this book it said 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Do you remember that, JT, when it said that 9 out of 10 businesses fail?
Absolutely. This book, dude, I'll tell you straight up, not to derail the conversation, there's a long story. I would not be here right now if it weren't for this book, so I'm thrilled that you're sharing that. And I do remember that statistic.
Well, yeah, Robert Kiyosaki said 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And so I looked at this like, okay, well, all I need to do really is just start 10 businesses, and one of them is going to succeed. So I actually ended up starting 40 different businesses. So, I had a really good chance of success. What happened is life was chaotic, right? Life was absolutely chaotic. And I learned a lot of things that I did not want to do. JT, I have done so many things. I've had experiences in my life from so many different businesses. I was a domain broker. I actually sold domains for a living on eBay. I have sold Ginsu knives on eBay. I sold almost 10,000 Ginsu knives a month
Wow.
on eBay and different websites. I was in a company called Jewelway selling jewelry. I used to buy a semi full of electronics that were 40% working and 60% or 60% not working and 40% working. And I used to get them at such a great 25, 30 cents on the dollar price that I would sell these all over the internet. I was a day trader for a while. I actually had an opportunity to day trade, and at that point you had to have at least $30,000 to be able to day trade, and so that was an exciting time in my life. I don't have time to go into all of that, but that was definitely exciting, looking at 3 different screens, getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, looking at all your technology and looking at your notes and your software and looking at your trades. And I used to short stocks and I used to buy puts and stays. So I did that for a while. I worked at a baseball card shop for a while. I had my business on selling my own cards. I had so many different businesses. And out of the 40 different businesses, only 2 succeeded. The other 38 I call business therapy because it is absolutely the way that I was be able to provide some therapy to myself, because I was just constantly going through different models, different businesses, different businesses. Finally, I found one of the businesses that started to do really well. It was a high-end electronics company, a business. And remember when the plasma TVs came out, JT? Those the plasma TVs came out, and they were between $10,000 and $20,000 for a 50-inch plasma TV. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Well, I was one of the guys selling those TVs online. And at that time, you can make a lot of money. The challenges with electronics is that about every year to year and a half, they drop over 50% in price. So that means that your margins also drop as well. So although this business was great, and it grew for over 4 years, and over $4 million, and I ended up selling it, it was not something that I want to be in again. It's just the electronic business that moves so fast, and prices drop so much. But from the profits of that business, I did buy a bunch of real estate. And from that, there's a whole story of where my business is today. One of my businesses now is teaching people how to invest in real estate. I have a small portfolio of rental properties, and then I also provide products, books, coaching, things like that, and even a software and some private label products for real estate rather. So my question to those that are listening here is, would you like for me to give you a smarter way than having, you don't want to have to start 40 different businesses to get down to the basically core things that I think are the most important that you need to know about any and all business endeavors. And what I call this is my 3 M's for success. And so that's what I want to talk about. I want to give you a little bit of the backstory, where I've kind of come from, where I am today. And it comes down to these 3 M's that made all the difference in the world for me. So I recommend you take notes on this because they're very powerful. The first M is mindset, okay? And JT, I know you're huge on this. I want you to just talk just a little bit in your experience in life and things you've done. I mean, and you've done a lot of different things, JT. I mean, you've had a lot of powerful experiences. Of all of the things you've done, how important is it, would you say, is mindset?
Well, I will just tell you straight up that it's the one predictor, if you will, of my success, because I could tell anytime my mindset was out of whack, if it wasn't in alignment with the level that I wanted to get to. In other words, if I wasn't thinking at the high level that I wanted to achieve, there was no way I was going to get there. If you want to be wealthy, you have to think like a wealthy person. You have to work on your mindset there. If you want to be a healthy person, you have to think like a healthy person. So 100% agree with you. I cannot even I love that you started off with mindset. Tremendous.
It is. It's so important. Whenever I'm doing coaching with clients, it's amazing to me that the challenges that they have, many of them come down to a mindset shift. It's something that is not a physical challenge. It's not a strategy. It's not it really comes down to a mindset shift. And this has been the most important kind of ahas in my life. I used to, just really transparently here talking to you, I really thought that mindset was a bunch of hokey. In fact, I remember going to seminars, and when anybody would start talking about mindset, I would leave the room. I would just leave the room, because it to me was just something that was kind of hokey, and I just didn't put a lot of emphasis on it. Little did I know that this is the most important part of doing anything in your life. Anything. You have to have a mindset that is designed for you to succeed. Okay? Times in our lives, we see what we call these constraints. But really, there are no constraints on the human mind. There really are no barriers except the ones that we ourselves erect. You know, it's so true what Ronald Reagan said, because we live by these fallacies. We live by these myths, JT. We put up all of these different things in our mind, these things that come up, these different fears that we think we're not going to succeed because of this. We won't move forward because of, you know, this other thing. We won't get out of our own head enough, and because of that, we try to overcome things without working on our mindset first. And I got to tell you that you need to read as many books as you can on developing a positive mindset and a positive attitude. Those are huge parts of anyone's success that I know of. Even this, to this degree, whenever I was in Harvard, I was talking about what I was going through here with a billionaire, a guy that was a restaurant mogul, and he agreed that people just don't understand the value, the immense value of having a healthy mindset. Okay? You've got to get this part of it, because nothing in your life will happen for good, for a success that is consistent, unless you start to change your mindset and get prepared for a mindset of success. And here's what I mean by that. You've got to be a mouse. You know, you've got to be unstoppable. You've got to be a little hard-headed. People are going to come in your life and they're going to steal from you. They're going to want to steal your dreams. They're going to want to steal your hopes and all your goals. They're going to tell you that you can't do it. They're going to tell you that it's not possible. Okay? They are going to basically want you to follow their agenda, follow their rules, because they aren't able and they don't have enough courage to jump up and be able to stand on the mountain and say, I can do it and I will do it. And yes, I appreciate your support, but brother, friend, you know, family member, mom, dad, whoever, if you don't give it to me, I am going to move forward without your assistance. I can do it. I will do it. Whenever you have a vision, you have something in your heart, whenever you know that that dream is there for you, you need to go after it. No one else is going to come and give it to you. No one's going to come to your door and give it to you. You have to go get it. And you've got to be unstoppable. You've got to be hard-headed and know that there are going to be challenges and there are going to be setbacks, and people are going to tell you that you cannot do it. And you have to have that mindset that says you can do it, you will do it, and that, yes, you appreciate their support, but if they don't give it to you, you are moving forward anyway.
Amen.
What really matters are sometimes the things that we can't count, right? Albert Einstein said many of the things you can count don't count, and many of the things you can't count really count. Here's what I mean by that, and I believe there's what he means by that. There are things that you are going to have happen in your life that are going to be really powerful wins. There are going to be successes in your life. There are going to be things that gave you a little bit of confidence to move forward and to achieve things that you know, that you didn't think were possible. But because you believed and because you had a powerful mindset, you are able to continue to move forward, right? You were able to see some results and then move forward. How many times do you think Albert Einstein was told that he was crazy? How many times do you think Albert Einstein was told the things that he was doing were outlandish? That if everyone, he shouldn't think the way he thinks. He should just get in line with everyone else, right? He should have, How many times do you think he had all of these people come against him and he kept moving? And thank God he did, because of all of the different knowledge that we get from him today and all of the different things that he's helped create. It's changed the world. And there's nothing different between Albert Einstein and you. There really isn't. He had a dream, he had a vision, he had knowledge, and he shared it with the world. And you can do the same thing. And so what you've got to understand is that those little wins and those little successes in your life mean everything. They mean absolutely everything. Anything that can give you confidence to move forward is going to be the biggest thing that you can have in your life. You know, even though I didn't graduate from high school and I just got a GED, I was pretty good at math. And so here's a little game that I set up that I think is pretty interesting. So you can see here on the screen that you have the alphabet, right? You have A through Z. And if every one of the letters equaled a number, so, you know, if A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and so on, then what our goal is here is, what do you think would equal 100%? What do you think is going to equal 100%? And what I want to do is I want to talk about this in terms of the different things that us as entrepreneurs, the things that we think are important, right? For example, fear. We talk about fear a lot, JT, how we need to overcome fear. And it's true. Fear does hold us back, right? False evidence appearing real, right? That's what it stands for. But if you look here on this particular example, fear only makes up about 30% of the things that we need to do as entrepreneurs to succeed. Fear only makes up 30%. What about courage? Well, courage isn't really important, right? Courage means that we're going to not have to stand by and let someone tell us what to do, push us away. We have the courage to be bold and to pursue the things that are in our heart. But look what courage equals. Courage only equals about 70%. About 70%. What about hard work? I mean, this is the one that our moms and dads in the industrial age, they told us that this was the most important. Hard work. Just need to work hard, right? But look what this equals. It's close, but it's not quite 100%, is it? It's 98%. Well, what about knowledge? We hear all the time that knowledge is power, and it is. Knowledge is absolute power. But when you look and add these numbers up, you only come up to 96%. What about love? Oh, love. Love's important. It is incredibly important. I know that love has definitely been one of those things in my life that has given me more of a foundation and understanding for people, for my own family, for my friends. But in business, it only makes up about 54%. What about you're just lucky, right? You just get luck. You're just lucky. Well, luck's only 47%. So what makes up 100%? If you're on here, type in what you think it makes 100%. What do you think makes 100%? All right, we're getting some people typing in here. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you. It's not money. I know a lot of people were thinking it's that. It's not money. That only makes up 72%. And leadership. And leadership's important, but it's not leadership either. What makes up 100%, JT, is attitude. It's attitude. And attitude comes from having a positive mindset, doesn't it? Attitude Absolutely. Makes up everything. If you do not approach something with the right attitude, your perspective's already off, and most of the time you'll be setting yourself up for unnecessary failures. Okay, unnecessary failures. But there's a little bit of a trick to this game, because attitude is almost everything. What do you think is more important that comes before attitude, JT?
Well, I got to think it's got something to do with intention or focus.
Those are good as well. Those are really good, and you're close. Intention's close, but it's discipline.
Nice. Love it.
It's discipline. You cannot have a positive attitude without first having discipline. It's just impossible. There's too many things that are going to hit you every single day for you to remain positive without discipline. The reason why everyone else cannot do it, that you tell yourself everyone else is not doing this, and why other people aren't able to do some of the things that you're able to do, is because they don't have the discipline. Okay? You have to have discipline. And once you have discipline, you can create a positive attitude. And again, remember the slide that says you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. It is incredibly difficult for you to have the discipline to create the attitude if you are hanging out with people that want to steal away your dreams, and they want to tell you why you shouldn't do it, and they want to tell you why it won't work. You've got to separate yourself from them. You've got to get around people that will push you up and that will support your dreams and support everything that you want to do. And then you will find yourself that it's much easier to have that discipline and maintain that positive attitude. You agree with that, JT?
I absolutely agree 100%. In fact, attitude is one of the best predictors of success that I've found, just both through study and through natural application, both in myself and my clients. So I absolutely agree with you. I think this is great stuff.
Yeah, discipline is the thing that most entrepreneurs, let me just be candid with you, most entrepreneurs fail. Most of them just don't have what it takes. They just get hit too many times and they don't get back up again. But you don't have to be that way, because if you will take these 3 little M's and you will apply them, it will set you apart. It will give you it'll give you a blueprint that you can follow that will work with everything in your life. And I promise you it will. I've started over 40 different businesses, and I know how this stuff works. And it starts with mindset. And that mindset, you have to have discipline to maintain a positive attitude that will keep you going, because people are going to want to knock you down. And you also need to take some time to be with yourself, right? This meditation stuff that you're hearing all the time, it means a lot. Prayer, think about when you put your hands together and pray. What number is that making? Look at that. It looks like a 1, doesn't it? And there's a reason for that, right? Because people don't take the time to really get into a place of solitude and a place where you can purify those thoughts, where you can really understand on your mindset so you can stay positive, right? So you can clear out some of the negativity that's in your life, and you can do some meditation and prayer and get rid of some of those things that are trying to bug you and attack you, because there are going to be things that attack you every day in your life. A lot of those things are going to be, I feel, spiritual attacks. And so you need to spend some time and really just meditate and pray. You know, one of the things that I do is I ask God to just give me doors of opportunity. You know, I thank Him for the breath of my lungs. I thank Him for I can walk around. I thank Him that I can speak. I thank Him for I can drink water without having to worry about it being contaminated. I every morning when I wake up, I grab my pillow and I really just I hold it tightly, and I just thank God for another day, another opportunity to go do cool things. Whatever it is in your life, you need to get in touch with that, and you need to start thinking that what are your strengths? What are the things that you provide the most value? Because that's how you're going to be able to serve the people that is going to be your audience, it's going to be your customers, it's going to be you'll be able to be in the highest and best way that you can serve others once you're spending some time in prayer and solitude. And then what you can do is you can actually overcome fear and those different things in your life by discovering your success. One of the guys that I have a lot of respect for, JT, is Jim Rohn. He said we can have more than we've got because we become more than we are. We don't understand how powerful that we are because we don't spend that time with ourselves. We're worrying about what everybody else tells us who we are, right? Does that make sense? People want to identify you, and they want to tell you who you are, right? They don't know who they are, but yet they want to tell you who you are and what you can do and what you can't do. And they want to tell you that why you shouldn't do something and why your idea won't work, but yet they don't know who they are. They haven't had anything in their lives work before, and they're just simply trying to wrap you up in their negativity. And if you don't spend time in prayer and you don't spend some time getting this right and getting that discipline, so you have that positive attitude and have your mindset right, then you'll let them identify you, and you will let them tell you who you are. You don't have to do that. Okay, enough about mindset. I think you get it. The second one is mechanics. And I hope you're writing this down. It's just 3 little simple things. Second one is mechanics. There's a great book. It's called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And have you read that book, JT?
Great book, by the way.
Fantastic book, right? He says, you know, entrepreneurs basically are technicians, right? Entrepreneurial seizure. You're right. They're working for themselves because they're working in their business and not on their business. They don't have the perspective or the mindset to be able to step aside and really think about how the mechanics of their business work. That's what's so great about my online business empire, by the way, is I'll put a little plug on that too, is we already have those steps and those mechanics lined up for us. There's not very many programs that will do that. Most of them just get you set up and let you go on your way, and MOBE is different. It has the mechanics set up for you. So you need to start thinking about the mechanics in whatever business that you're in. And those are really just the things, or the gears that make things work. You know, they're the step-by-step processes. They're the standard operating procedures. And if you don't do this, you start working, you know, for a crazy man that looks like this, you know, because you're working for yourself. And that's how you look. Whenever you start working for yourself, you're working for a crazy person. Because imagine how your agenda is now, and your timelines and your deadlines, and you know, no one can keep up with that. And it's because you cannot step outside and see the mechanics of your business. Instead, you just do. And you know, you push it along and you get a little further down the track, but you don't have any systems, you don't have any processes, and you don't have your mechanics working for you. Consider FedEx. FedEx is not one big business, is it? It is small business duplicated. That's all it is. It's one engine that's working fantastically great, and then it's duplicated and duplicated and duplicated. FedEx has got their mechanics down to a science, brother. They got it down to a science. And that's what we need to be doing in our businesses too. We have to start thinking about ways of things work, the procedures, those processes in our business that are duplicatable. So then you can take your one little business and duplicate it, and then you'll be able to scale. You will not be able to scale, and you will not be able to step outside of your business. You will constantly be a slave to your own business unless you are able to step out of it. And the way that you're able to do that is to have mechanics and have those procedures in place. That's why the second M is so important. And here's another thing about that. Think about what Michael Jordan says. If he was all about himself, i.e., just his business, right? He says that talent will win games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. Now, I don't know about you, JT, but a game is cool to win, but it's much cooler to win a damn championship, right?
Amen.
That's awesome, right? When the whole team works together. If you're really honest with yourself, most of us aren't working with teams. We work for ourselves. It's a one-man show. We don't trust anyone. We don't know how to create the processes and the mechanics. We don't really think about it. All we think about is moving further on down the road, make a little bit more money than we did yesterday, and everything will be okay. The most successful people in life do not think that way, okay? So you've got to find a way to break out of that mentality. Somewhere down the road, someone told you that. Either your model is looking at somebody else that you know of that you have respect for, and they've made a little bit of money, and you're just trying to do what they do, not trying to grow too big. You know, you don't want to put too many processes. You don't want to hire anyone. You've got to break out of that mentality and start thinking of outside of your business. What if you were to get sick or hurt today, and if you were bedridden for 6 months? For 6 months you were bedridden. Would money still come in? Would money still come in? Would you still be able to survive? Most of us, the answer is no. The answer is no, it wouldn't. And for some of us, maybe it would for a little bit, but then it would stop. And it's because our mechanics, our procedures, our processes are not in order, and we don't think about the way that Michael Jordan does. Now think about the difference of just one. This is very powerful. Most of us are right there on the left-hand side, right? We're just thinking about the easy steps. We're just thinking about those. But what about if we added one more to it? Look at the difference of just one. Now I want you to think about it this way. In your own business, you're only going to get so far, okay? Where it's just you running your own business, okay? Just you, the one-man show, the guy that or the girl that doesn't need to hire anybody. They don't really want to grow too big. They don't really think about the processes. They don't really need to explain anything. They're just thinking about themselves. You're only going to be able to grow so far, and you're going to stress yourself out, and eventually, if you read the E-Myth, you'll be the girl that makes the pies, and she can't even stand the smell of pies, even though she used to absolutely love it. Don't let that be you. Think about the difference of just one. Adding one person, maybe a personal assistant, maybe a virtual assistant that you pay $3, $5, $10 an hour to for 4 or 5 hours a week. Maybe you spend an extra $200 to $500 a month, but that frees up an extra 10 or 20 hours of your time. Then you can start focusing on your strengths, the things that you're really good at, and you start building a team. You don't have to be the guy that's always slam dunking the basketball. You don't have to be the guy who's making the shots. You can pass it every once in a while. It's okay. It's okay to pass the ball. And when you do, you'll start to see that you start growing by just a difference of one. Look at the vast, vast difference. This is what FedEx does. This is what UPS does. These are what the companies that you know, the great companies, McDonald's, this is how they think. The billionaire that I met that has a restaurant franchise, this is how he thinks. This is how franchise owners think. Does that make sense, JT?
Absolutely, buddy. I'm following everything you're saying here, and I got to tell you that I think that that's the key part that people kind of miss. I love what you said is it's okay to pass the ball. You don't always have to be the guy that takes the shot or slam dunks the ball.
Absolutely. Now, when you do this, really you start thinking bigger. Most of us, we don't. Most of us are happy with where we are, and we convince ourselves that thinking big is not who we really are, or it's not something that I really want to tell my family members or relatives about. Or, you know, there's a guy that I recently was talking to that was he's a fantastic guy. You meet him and you would instantly just think he's great. He got up in front of our mastermind and started talking about how, oh, he's not really the big thinker that some other people that he works with are, and you know, he doesn't really think this way, and you know, what he's done is not really been that great so far, but he's had, you know, someone else has done something else. And so he equated, now listen to what I'm saying, maybe this is one of the most powerful things that I'll say on this presentation, so I hope it really resonates with you, okay? So listen. He was talking about how he's not a big thinker and someone else is doing this for him, and he's got some good results in his life, but you know, hasn't been as big as somebody else. And so he was equating being humble as not being great. That, my friends, is a huge lie. It's a myth. Some of the most powerful people that I know are humble and they're absolutely great. They don't tell themselves that they're small thinkers. They're perfectly okay with saying that they think big. And you need to say the same thing. And not just once. You need to say it every day. Every day when you're in the shower, you need to say, I'm a big thinker. That's what you need to say. You're not a small thinker. Every day you need to say that you can remain humble and still be great, because you can. You absolutely can. So don't fall into this myth that just because you think that you're bigger than somebody else and you think that you have all these bad thoughts, they're attached to that. These are anchored, these thoughts, they're anchored to negativity and negative thoughts on being great. You need to get rid of those, And there's actually, I could run you through a 5-minute exercise that would detach those negative thoughts with how you think being great is. If you have any negativity attached to being great, I could run through a 5-minute exercise with you that would immediately get rid of that, immediately. We don't have time to do it right now, but just understand that the most successful people in life don't call themselves small thinkers. They think big. You are a lion. And the last M, JT, it's money. Now, why do you think that I saved the third M, money, as the last M?
Well, I've got to think because so many people place it first. They put it as such a huge priority that they miss out on the real important parts of life and success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look at this study. Look at this study. People that put a price on their time are more likely to feel impatient when it comes to them earning money, and that hurts their ability to derive happiness from their activities. In other words, JT, if I start thinking that it's all about the money, okay, you've heard about this before. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. Make the money. Make the money. Here's what the professors are saying. Here's what the PhD students and the studies are showing us, is that whenever you put the emphasis that it's all about the money and it's your time is money, it actually hurts you from being happy. And which one's more important, you being happy or just having a lot of money? Let me tell you something. Being happy means a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger than just having a lot of money. Having a lot of money is great, but I can show you countless people that have had money and been absolutely miserable. Let's just say this. Do you know some people in your life right now that have a lot of money and they're miserable? I do. Here's what happens. This is the point, okay? You have a lot of money, that's great. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people that have a lot of money and they're very happy. But here's the way they think about it differently. Whenever you start chasing money, money runs. It runs. That's the difference. Whenever you start to have your mindset and those 3 M's set up in the right way, where you have that mindset is set up for success, you know where you're going, you know how to get there, you have the positive attitude, you have the discipline, then you got your mechanics in order. JT, you got your processes, you got your standard operating procedures, you've got your gears rocking and rolling, you got your duplication methods ready to go. Then what happens is the money comes looking for you, doesn't it? You become a money magnet. That's the difference. You don't have to chase money because money runs. You agree with that?
I think it's a great analogy because if you think about even just in nature, if an animal's being chased, is it going to stand there or run straight to the thing that's chasing it? Heck no, it's gonna get the hell out of there. So it's a perfect analogy. Absolutely.
Money runs when you chase it. But if you can get your business lined up the way that we just discussed with the 3 M's, I assure you, friend, you will have more opportunities coming at you left and right. you will have to say no much more often than you say yes, because you will become a money magnet. And wealth is powerful. It's awesome. It's a great tool, but that's what it is. It's just a tool. And it's really just a thought. Okay? It's a thought. Robert Kiyosaki even agrees with that. Money is just a thought. It's not something that you pursue and put your total focus on, because it will derail you if you don't have that mindset there and you don't have your mechanics lined up. So let's see who was paying attention. All right. What is the first M? Mindset. Mindset is the first M. What's the second M? Mechanics. And third M? Money. And it is in that order. And those three little principles, that three-step formula will help you in everything that you do in business and in life. Some of the biggest doors of opportunity that have opened in my life have been from serving others. And I'll end with this because it's very powerful. Reason that you serve others is because someone first served you. Okay? I'm looking at this bottle of water on my table right now. And it's easy for me to just drink this water and be happy, be satisfied, and not think anything of it. But that's not how a successful person, a long-term successful person thinks. A long-term successful person thinks, from my experience, and the billionaire that I talk to, and the multimillionaires that are at Harvard, and most other successful people that I know, they look at this differently. They think about this water and they glance at it for a second and they go, you know, how cool is it that someone had to package this water, put it in this really cool container. Someone had to put the label around it, make the graphics on it really stand out, really catch my eye, really look cool, make me feel good, and with the endorphins in my brain to go off when I'm drinking it, make me feel like I'm drinking, you know, something very filtered and high alkaline level. Someone had to actually take a lot of these bottles of water, JT, and they had to come from somewhere, didn't they? Maybe they came from Fiji, right? And then someone over in Fiji had to prepare the water a certain way to get it where it's just right so it can go into all these different containers in a certain way. And then someone had to have the agreements in place that they could do that. And so the point is, I'm surrounded by servants, and so are you. And so if you think about life that way, if you think about things are bigger than just you, you'll have this sense of appreciation and gratefulness. And man, it just makes life so much better. Man, it just makes things so much lighter, not so heavy on you. When I get up in the morning, I'm in the shower. I say this every single morning. I say, my worst day is someone else's paradise. And so is yours. So JT, that's all I got, man. I hope this has been really helpful.
Awesome stuff, Corey, my brother. I got to tell you, there's lots of great comments coming in from folks that have been with us this entire hour. Tons of people came on this call tonight, which I think is really great. It says a lot about the type of people we have here in MOBE. And I got to say, you know, the 3 M's, first and foremost, I love the order that you brought them in, you know, mindset, mechanics, money. So many people, I think, really struggle, and maybe you can even speak to this, but, you know, as entrepreneurs, they struggle so much because they think about, what do I need to do to make money? And then they go, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to build my mechanics out. I'm going to learn marketing. I'm going to learn sales. I'm going to learn this. And they forget about that mindset piece. If you flip that whole point on end like you did, and you take it in the reverse order, the mindset, the mechanics, and the money, that's, I think, where the real magic is. And, you know, I love that you were just talking about this, even just using the bottle of water as a great example, because you know, it's a true testament to test your prosperity consciousness. If you're ever feeling constrained, you know, if you ever feel, quote, in lack, for lack of a better term, I guess, walk down the street. I actually had a good friend of mine, a mentor of mine, tell me this. Just walk down the street of any neighborhood that you live in or any town you live in, and consider the streets. You didn't have to pay for those streets. Somebody put that infrastructure in place. Look at the electricity. You didn't have to pay for that, yet you can benefit from just being around it. Look at all the safety that's around. Look at the amazing advancements that people have put together. You're in the app business, the electronic app, or the you know, the app business. It's amazing what goes into building an app, and yet we can get apps for free. That seems like a trivial thing, or maybe it seems a little bit trite, but here's the point. We are surrounded with abundance every single day. We're surrounded with magic. I mean, true freaking magic every single day in every part of our lives. And if we will just take a moment to breathe it in as entrepreneurs and say, you know what, this is freaking cool, man. I didn't have to build this system. They built it for me. I didn't have to, you know, create this go-to webinar platform. It was created for me, and I can listen to an amazing guy, a servant leader, Corey Boatwright, come out here and share his wisdom, share his gift. That in and of itself is almost magic. And I think that, you know, if we as entrepreneurs just stop and look at that for just a moment and realize that in this moment of just a little over an hour that we've had tonight together, you've surrounded yourself. You talked about the 5 people you surround yourself with, Corey. You've surrounded yourself with one of the probably top, most inspirational people that I personally know, Corey Boatwright, and somebody who doesn't have to have all the accolades, doesn't have to have all the accomplishments of, you know, academia to be able to show up at a place like Harvard and be not just accepted but applauded. So Corey, I just speak on behalf of everybody tonight. Certainly appreciate you coming out here and investing your time and your wisdom in us and really empowering us, because you are truly a servant and you lead the way with that huge heart of yours. So thanks, brother.
And I really appreciate you having me on here. I really appreciate the encouragement from that. You know, don't let anybody steal your dreams. And remember, you know, whenever I was asked to come to Harvard, I was there because I have a degree in results. I don't have anybody in my life that's said, hey, let me see your report card. Let me see, you know, you do trigonometry. Let me see you do a quadratic equation. Those things are pretty cool and whatnot, but, you know, so is answering questions in Jeopardy. But when it comes down to getting results, man, it comes down to you taking action. It comes down to you taking action. And it comes down to you surrounding yourself with people that are taking action, people that you can bounce ideas off of and that you can be in a positive attitude with. So, and it's going to take some discipline. It will take some discipline. If you can keep that mindset rocking and rolling, eventually what will happen is your mechanics will start rolling out. You'll start to notice that the things over and over again that you're doing, almost like a form, whenever you are asking somebody certain questions, you know, it's just like the same thing. It's the same questions over and over again. Once you find yourself in a situation where those consistencies are there, that's when you want to start documenting your processes so they can be duplicatable. And then whenever you can duplicate something, when you can show someone, you know, look at McDonald's, for example. You can hire a 16-year-old kid to come in and run this amazing business. Well, it isn't because the kid is so incredibly brilliant or anything. It's because the systems run the kid. The systems run the business. And so if you start thinking about that, money is just out there all day long. So it's easy to go after the money, but I promise you that that's short-lived. That's a flash in the pan, and that is not the way successful, consistent, wealthy people live. They just don't. So, you know, I appreciate getting a chance to talk and share some of my story on here, and I hope that it resonates with you, and I hope that you you take these things that we talked about and you apply them, because they really do work. Hey, JT, is there any time for maybe like 1 or 2 questions?
Absolutely. In fact, if you want, I can read a few to you here. Just want to let you know you've got you've captivated some people, my friend. You've got Ivan calling in from the Netherlands. It's 2:15 in the morning there. The guy stayed up. He said it's totally worth it. James
Awesome,
Berghoff, just hey
you,
James, good to hear you, buddy. He says great content. One question here came from Furtis. Furtis wants to know, how can I implement the discipline in my life? Great question.
Sure. So the way that you can implement discipline is you're going to have to set times for things. So I call this is one thing when I do coaching, and I have a pretty high-end coaching program that people pay a lot of money to be a part of. And one of the little things in that coaching program that constantly comes back and people say, that one little thing made all the difference, is what I call grow time. So a lot of entrepreneurs I know, they don't, believe it or not, they just don't take the time to read. They kind of get good at doing one or two things, and then they don't really think about reading. Or they have a life, pops up, and they have kids they got to take care of, and they got responsibilities. Here's what happens, is that grow time has to be there, okay? And because what it is, it's a little win that leads to discipline for bigger things. Here's what I mean by that. Every morning, you don't have to do it every morning, but here's what I do. Every single morning, I set aside between 30 and 40 minutes to read 2 chapters of a book. This is the way that I've read a book a week for years and years and years. And the way that I'm able to do it is that you can get through 2 chapters of most books, about 150-page books. You can get through 2 chapters in 30 to 40 minutes, okay? And then you stop. So here's the discipline part, JT. And is it Ivan or James? Is Ivan asking the question, or is it James?
It was actually Ferdos.
Ferdos. I'm sorry. Okay, we had a ton. Ferdos. Okay. So here's how you have the discipline. You read the first 2 chapters, and then you stop. You put the book down, and then you go on and do your other things you need to do. And then tomorrow, you read another 2 chapters, and you stop. So here's what happens. You don't go into state of overwhelm. That's one of the big issues of why people don't have discipline. It's because there's so much overwhelm. We put the world on our shoulders. We think everything's our responsibility, especially entrepreneurs that work for themselves or they don't have any systems and processes. Everything's on their responsibility, right? They're the CEO, they're the COO, they're the marketer, they're the sales guy, they're everything. And so we put everything on our shoulders, and we don't have discipline to say, no, I'm only going to do it once, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to come back tomorrow and do it again, and I'm stop. So you have to have those consistencies, and you have to be disciplined to be able to start and stop. And that's just one little thing. It's just one little tip, but I tell you, that one little thing will help anybody read a book a week, about a 150-page book a week. You'll get through those chapters that you need to every single week. And everyone has 30 to 40 minutes that they can set aside consistently every single day, and you call it your grow time. And you will learn a ton about your self, depending on which books you're reading. I read a lot about, I read some self-help books. I read some business books. Sometimes I even read some fiction books. Not a lot, but sometimes I do, just to open my mind up. But these things will help you grow. And that's where you're going to need that discipline whenever you start to grow.
I love that you say that. That's one of the things that I talk about quite a bit, is a system I put together called the Power 5. 5 things that you do every single day that advance your big mission in life, your big goals. And the first thing I do is, it's exactly right in alignment with what you said, is I work on my mindset. First thing is spend a little time in gratitude, spend a little time, in some meditation, and then get right to the books. First thing, real early in the morning. I'm an early riser, so I love that you say that. It's funny, too, the other part that I love that you said there, Corey, is you talked about doing a little bit and then implementing. And, it amazes me. I actually knew a guy for a while that was, he claimed that he would read 6 hours a day, personal development stuff. The question is, where's the implementation, man? I mean, if you sit around and read, Darren Hardy, the publisher of Success Magazine, calls it the most over-motivated underachiever. And so I love that you say that. It's all about implementation of what you learn. Quick question for you. And by the way, Fertis just wanted to give a shout out. I said, wait, great, wow, great stuff. Thank you so much. Really needed to hear that. So, Corey, that goes out to you, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, Fertis. Good question.
One thing that I wanted to ask a question, because this has come up a few times. I've heard this from people even before tonight's call, and you have been a true illustration of this, just a true, you walk the walk. You came out of a place, Christian heavy metal band, you know, dropped out of high school, and yet there you are speaking at one of the greatest educational institutions on the planet Earth. How did you go from where you were to being in a place like that and not allowing conventional sort of, structures, if you will, conventional ideals to hold you back? Most people would say there's no way a high school dropout should even be able to be allowed on the campus, let alone speak and make such an impact, because I think a lot of people underestimate their value and they underestimate their gift. How did you get past that, and how do you continue to this day to make such an impact?
There is no such thing in my life as a problem. Here's why I say that. There are reframes that I've had to do ever since I was very, very young. I've had to do reframes in my life. So let me give you one. This one's a powerful one. Instead of any time you ever say that there's a problem, you catch yourself, oh, here's a problem, you got a problem, I've got a problem. You want to change your vocabulary and call it a challenge. A problem is something that is stationary. In our minds, we can't be moved. It's a wall. It's a problem. A challenge is something that's movable. If there's a solution to almost every challenge in our minds, would tell us that. And then whenever you view it as a challenge, then it can turn into an opportunity. So I look at things where not just the glass is half full and half empty kind of thing, but I look at things from a perspective basis that sometimes whatever I'm going through in my life, whether it be something really hard and painful, and I've been through a lot, and man, I know other people have too, and I'm telling you, I have got the t-shirt for some hard things in my life, a lot of hard things. And you cannot let those things derail you where you don't get back up again. Here's another way to look at it. Think about one of the hardest things, just for a moment. Just take a second and think about that thing in your life that really did you in. I mean, I'm talking about the thing that is the hardest hit to you. I mean, it hit you and it knocked you out, and you were on the ground for a long time, and it was painful. I'm talking about the type of pain that was gut-wrenching, and the pain that you didn't want to talk to anybody. You were bitter, you were angry, you were hurt, and you did not care what anybody else thought. You were just living in that. Now, there's one way to go. One way to go is I'm going to go bury my pain and suffering by going and getting drunk. I'm going to choose some type of way to fill that void, because there's an emptiness. I'm feeling empty, and I want to go fill it with something, okay? And don't get me wrong, I've done it too, so I'm not telling you I'm perfect, okay? But I'm just telling you things that, just to answer your question with a little bit of a story. This is what most people do, and they stop there, okay? Most people do this and they stop there. They go and they get addicted to different drugs and alcohol and even sex. They just feel these different things that happen in their lives. And they just stop there. They just say, well, because this happened in my life, I did this. And they live by circumstances. And you know what? Now they're the victim their whole life. And I will tell you something, JT, I will never in my life, I don't care what has ever happened to me, and I've had a lot of tough things happen to me, and I know people listening have had a lot of tough things happen to them too, but you do not, and I will not have to live as a victim. That is a choice. That is a choice, because when I look back in my life, and the one positive thing to do whenever you're looking back is to take something positive from the past, not dwelling in the past. It's a positive thing to look back in your life and understand that that thing that knocked you down, the gut-wrenching thing, the thing that hurt you the most, probably taught you the biggest lesson. It probably made you stronger than who you are today. It probably set things in motion for you to learn, and not only to learn, for you to teach others about whatever it was that you went through, whatever experience that was. And so you can either choose to live as the victim and say, woe is me, and everything happened to me, and the world is against me, and most people do. Most people do. Even entrepreneurs get that way. They fall down, they don't get back up again. Most people don't have what it takes to move forward, but you can. And you can do it by not living as a victim. And whenever you choose that, which, by the way, goes exactly back to our mindset, goes exactly back to a discipline, goes exactly back to the attitude. Whenever you choose to have an attitude that, you know what, that was just a chapter in my life. Yeah, that sucked. That, man, that when I got hit, it hurt, and I got knocked down. But you know what? I learned a lot from it. And you know what? I was able to talk to somebody the other day about that experience, and I got some perspective on it. And you know, now thinking about it, it doesn't hurt the way it did. If you're able to look at things like that, and you're able to not be the victim, man, the world's your oyster. There's no such thing as a problem. There's only challenges, and they lead to opportunities.
Oh, that's powerful stuff. By the way, if you have questions for Corey, we have just a few minutes left. Go ahead and type them in. I'll read them out, and we'll get them answered to you. You know, I love, Corey, that you said that, because so many people miss the real value, man, the treasure in the parts of their life that may suck, right? The parts of their lives that they may even be regretful for or ashamed of. They lose the treasure in that moment. Because exactly what you said, they go to that place of victimhood. They think that they're a victim. And my stance on that is, hey, if you failed monumentally, if you made a complete, fool of yourself in life, if you did something that you're so ashamed of, take freaking credit for it. Look at what you overcame. Look at the fact that you survived that thing and you're here standing. A lot of people don't make it through that. There are people in this life right now, if you've gone through a divorce, if you've gone through foreclosure, if you've gone through bankruptcy, if you've had any kind of physical or sexual or emotional kind of impact, injury, harassment done to you, and you're still here, there are millions of people who are no longer alive that couldn't survive that, and you did.
True.
And so I always, always, always love when a guy like you or anybody comes out and talks about how, look, stop being a victim. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to wear it as a badge of honor, because everybody's in a different place in life, right? When I was a kid, I could not talk about the fact that I was, quote, diagnosed with ADD. To me, it was this like huge, shameful thing. And I walked around just feeling awful about myself forever. And it wasn't until much later when I realized, holy crap, not only did I get into college, which most people never thought I would have. In fact, most people, the big joke when I graduated high school was, is there a diploma in there, right? The fact that I actually graduated college, got into college, graduated, got my commission as an officer, and then went off to go fly in the Navy with this whole, quote, ADD diagnosis was, in hindsight, like remarkable. But forever I hid that. Forever I squashed that, almost out of shame. So I really recommend that, like you said, happiness is a choice. And this whole idea of not being a victim, you will find your true strength. You will find your true magnificence in that moment when you step into that. So I really appreciate you bringing that out, buddy.
Man, it's so true. And think about the mom that's in a third world country right now, that when she goes to bed at night, she has to wrap her kids in special nets so the mosquitoes won't come in and give them malaria. Or think about the mom that has to walk with no shoes, to go with a big bowl on her head 2 miles to get somewhat of clean water to bring back to her kids. That's a rough day. That's a rough day. I just think that your perspective many times is too meistic and myopic, right? Me, the eyes are on me, the things you're thinking about. You've got to get outside yourself. Once you do, that's when your victimhood it goes away. Victimhood is all about being selfish. That's it. Victimhood is not about serving others. Victimhood is not about thinking about anybody except yourself. If you can break that, you're home free. And there's ways that you can do that. And many of them is just really thinking of how grateful that you are that some of the things that happened to you, the lessons that you learned from them. Of course, you wouldn't ask for those things to happen again to you, but the things that have happened to you because you're still alive, like you said, JT, that's a blessing. There's other people that didn't make it. And yeah, just not being a victim is incredibly important.
Remarkable stuff, man. Well, listen, we're not getting too many more questions. Sigrid did just want to say thank you so much for that perspective, and you know, I would say the same thing. I think you've got just a tremendous amount to give. What can we do for you? How can we support Corey Boatwright? What is going on right now that you're passionate about? Maybe give us a website, someplace we can go to learn more about you.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Right now I've really got this thing stirring in me for serving others, and I've said for years and years to remember and be a servant, and that's just been something that has been a little, almost a selfish reminder to me to just kind of think outside myself and to be thankful and be grateful. But lately there's been things in me that have kind of said, well, what if that is not just a cool saying, but what if that's really a movement? And I'm really having some things stir in me that could be the case. So I don't have anything particular that you can go and check out right now, but I will tell you that, remember, be a servant is more of a movement to me, and I'm really working with people right now that can help me develop that, because I think that it could really help a lot of people. Of course, if anybody wants to just check out the real estate side of things, they can just go to my website, which is shortsellology.com, shortsellology.com. But beyond that, just kind of keep in touch. Hit me up on Facebook, and stay in touch and go from there, man. I'm a fan of yours. Anybody's a friend of JT, I'm a friend of. And I know that there's a lot of MOBE folks that are on the line here, and I've met a lot of them that are platinum members in Fiji, and met more of them that are titanium members in Cabo, and had a great time meeting just awesome folks there. And Matt's a good dude as well. We've hung out, and it's great to network and build friendships that way. But just kind of keep in touch with this Remember Be a Servant thing. I'm really excited about it. I think it can help a lot of people.
Awesome, Corey. Thank you so much for that, my friend. And as Corey said, you got to go check this guy out. Find him on Facebook, Corey, C-O-R-Y, B-O-A-T-R-I-G-H-T, and that's also his Twitter handle, @CoreyBoatwright. Make sure you go check him out. Learn lots from him. Get yourself to the live events. This is not a pitch, guys. This is an honest, plea to you. If you want to really surround yourself like Corey taught us tonight, you are the sum total, or the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You want to spend time with Corey, and get yourself to live events. He's a blast to hang out with. He will rock your world. I mean, just literally, I remember, Corey, that night you and I sat down with Lisa Grossman and Curtis Broom, and we had that real in-depth, deep talk, and it was, after a very long day of the event, but man, it just totally charged me up. In fact, a couple nights in a row. So get yourself out.
Hours, yeah,
that was totally fun, man. Just a great time, and that's one reason why I love the live events. So make sure you get yourself to live events. Make sure you get connected over Facebook or Twitter or whatever you want to do with that. Make sure you get yourself connected to Corey. He's an amazing guy. Lots of people saying hi to you, man. Johnny Cochran, Corey's, say hi to the Turtle Man, Johnny Cochran. So,
Turtle Man.
Turtle Man. Anyway, lots of people saying hi to you, brother. Thank you so much for your time. My friends, my MOBE friends, as always, it's a privilege to come at you every single Wednesday night with these business principles workshops. This has been an amazing evening with Corey Boatwright. Make sure you join us every single Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern for the daily power-up call, and again, it's going to be on iTunes, so you can register for that to get updates. Corey,